oh, someone from you say, oh, somebody from Pennsylvania just got the AOE, so I can't get it. You could try different combinations of that and still get it.
Okay, what's this recording dot that just showed up?
They're recording the session. I wonder if you could use AOE 2+1.
Yeah.
And 5 minus
or
2.
or 4 minus 1. We could do it.
Hey, does anybody have a Michigan one yet?
Yeah, I think there is a Michigan one.
Yeah, I think there was a Michigan. I counted 14, but there was 13, and then Lance had one with a frame and one without a frame in that video.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just go to your go to your license bureau and tell them what you want. And like I have one that has a Navy veteran on it, and that limits the number of spaces. It has Navy veteran. Another one doesn't have it; just says veteran, and it gives you more spaces. So you can go to each of your guy. They can pull up the computer and say, "Yeah, that's taken," or "That's not taken." You know.
Yeah, right now I got my regular Navy plate, and then I got my Boy Scouts plate. I need to get another vehicle.
There you go.
Hello, Rear Admiral Hall.
Hey there. How's everybody doing?
We're doing well. I'm just trying to wrangle. I'm wrangling in commanding officers.
Yeah, we're all lost, you know.
I'm no commanding officer.
Doesn't look like the wardroom.
Oh, Craig, how are we doing?
The cumulative we means we're all great.
Very good.
I'm trying to get a hold of Gigliotti and so forth.
Now I don't see Gigliotti.
You know, hey Daniel, I saw his name pop up when we were back in that other room.
Exactly, I did too. Craig, would you be able to email him?
I'm gonna call him.
Oh, thank you. I tried reaching out to him as well, Pat.
Okay.
I like your email address though.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should pull out a gift from Captain Gigliotti.
Would that help?
I don't know. It's his property of Canadian government.
Sure, there's a story behind that, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, now, so we do.
We gotta hold that one until we get there.
We will be taping this and publishing it on the website if Ray can catch up with me one of these days. So we can't admit to any felonies.
Well, it's not a felony, I guess, because it happened in international waters. You know, the transfer of alcohol.
Good. I'm trying to get you hooked into the Zoom meeting. I think they had a change and they switched frequencies. And so I'm looking for just a minute.
This is funny watching these old men on this Zoom meeting, honey. It is hilarious.
Who are you calling?
They're over there just going back and forth, and I'm just listening. I'm just like, nope, not gonna say a word.
Sorry, Richard. I think you got about 20 or 30 years on me.
So the Zoom meeting is, if you got a pencil, can you copy?
Hey, Al, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I know I got 20 or 30 years on you.
Yeah, here, let me see.
How old are you?
How old do I look?
Late 50s?
I think I have.
Middle 50s.
Just a second. Go
Probably
ahead,
just
sir.
dealing with
Tell
you
me.
guys is why I'm gray.
We're going to give it a couple more seconds to try and get another commanding officer on board.
Al, when were you on the Seattle?
I was there from 2001 to 2004.
You dealt with me then.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. Let's see, who else? am I missing?
Cooper.
They're all trying to think who I am now.
Rate.
Both mate.
Oh, shit. BM1.
I was waiting for it. Yeah, BMC when I left. I was waiting for it. I recognized you as soon as I came on. Why do you think
Yeah.
I'm gray?
We had a Cooper on board in 70, 71, nicknamed 222.
That's right.
No, I was the BM from hell.
Now, you just tried to be the BM from hell. I just more or less said, okay, whatever.
Okay. You want to get a hold of Mitchell and Cook? I got them on Facebook.
I don't know why mine says 67 on there because I certainly wasn't. I was in high school then.
Where did the 67 come from then, Ken?
I have no idea because I was on the ship 69 to 73. I mean, yeah, 69 to, I was in the Navy 69 to 73. I was on the ship from 70 to 73.
I changed you.
Thank you.
It actually comes from your
70
name.
is 73.
Right back, gentlemen.
Well, I wasn't even thinking about the Navy yet then. But Al's going to be younger than all of us anyway. But
Yeah.
we're still going to give it a minute, right, Craig?
I don't recognize
Hey, you
any.
got it up there, Jim? Let me see what I sent and make sure I get the right email address.
I don't see Dave yet. Now, if you can hear me and your phone number is 859-361,
That's my
check the mute button just in case you didn't want to be muted.
JPGAGLIOTTI@AOL.com. Sent at 8:09.
And
All right.
that mute button on the
Sent at
phone.
8:09, and I got something going to Dave Dykoff, but I might call him.
What I found, if I mute somebody that's talking over because they forget they're not on mute, it doesn't let me unmute them.
As soon as you recognize receipt, then I'll hang up and call Dave.
It'd be like the next presidential debate where somebody's going to, mute the mic and.
How about
somebody
if I read it to
You-
you? Then you can get a leg up.
Craig, are you saying you want me to send an email or are you talking to somebody else?
I lost it. Let me see.
All right. Did you want me to forward it, Craig, or are you talking to someone else? Well, we are a slow start. Everybody have a beverage already? Al and I
Okay,
saw
the
a
Zoom
beverage.
meeting ID.
I also have pizza in the oven.
916
Yeah, but Al's already had to go relieve himself 3 times.
2747 3636. 916-2747-3636. Passcode is 214926.
You know what, Chief Cooper?
Great.
What do you got, Al?
If
Okay.
you had to deal with what
I'm gonna
I
hang
do
up
on a
and call,
daily
Dave.
basis,
Bye.
because trust me, what I deal with is worse than Raz Division.
Dealing with now, you mean?
Yes.
Understandable. Understandable.
I've got like 1,200 people who don't know their butt from a hole in the wall. And that's being polite.
Well, let's do this, Al. Let's give a chance to. We typically give a quick round the table to say hello, the years you served on board the ship, what division, and potentially where you're located now, and then we'll get right into introducing the commanding officers for some sea stories and then Q&A. And we're going to start in my top left, which is Al. And we know Al's in Michigan, but go ahead. What's the rest, Al?
I'm sure you guys can see the photo right now. USS Indianapolis. That is one of the ships that I helped to build and has now been commissioned into the United States Navy. I live in Menominee, Michigan, and I work for Fincantieri Marine Group, Marinette Marine. And we were recently awarded the contract for the new FFGs. I was on board from 2001 to 2004. Chief Cooper will remember me as some very ignorant, stubborn, bullheaded. I can't think of any other semi-polite terms to refer to myself as.
All right. Well, we'll get back to you. Dan Jasinski, the treasurer of the USS Seattle Association, following in the footsteps of many of the officers to jump in and help. I live in Hanover, New Hampshire. Was on board the USS Seattle in '89 to '91. Boilers officer and navigator, and served with Craig on our on my final sea time. And I'm glad to be here. This is our third round of these, and Dave has delegated the president has delegated hosting to me, so I'll try to keep things moving. But that's it. You can, if you need to chat with us, send a chat, and we'll see. We'll record the chat and the messages in the video. Rich, you're up next.
Yeah, Rich Tubman, Vice President of the USS Seattle Veterans Association. I was on board Seattle from '71 to '73. As a storekeeper, had a ball. Do it again.
Great.
I'm down in West Palm Beach.
Phil,
nice and warm down here.
And he does a lot of work for the association. Phil Cunningham.
Yes, I'm one of the pump owners on the USS Seattle. Was there from '68 to '72. I was a radioman. Did it audit. Used to spend some time up on the flying bridge with Ken Rothman. Ate many a breakfast that Vic prepared for us, so I survived all of that. Enjoyed my days on the Seattle.
They only let him cook once a week now, I heard.
That's
very good. Ken, from 1969 to '73, we fixed you.
Yep, you fixed me. And real quick, Al, I took the tour of the Indianapolis when it was here in Cleveland, and an amazing ship. And I met he's not there anymore, but he was the Undersecretary of the Navy, Mr. Modley, was here. And I met him at the time I took the tour. And now I am going to be on the commissioning crew or a team or whatever of the USS Cleveland, which is going to be a new LCS. And it's supposedly going to be home ported here in Cleveland. But we're going to wait and see. It's under construction, and that will the commissioning is going to be in 2022, from what I understand. But I came aboard Seattle in March of 1970, and I was a signalman. I came on as an SMSA from Newport Signalman School, and I was on board with Phil. I was on board with Vic. I was on board with Dave Holton, and 700 other guys. But besides that, I went from SMSA to SM2 LPO, did the first med cruises, and down to Gitmo and a few other odds and ends, and it was amazing. And I thank everybody.
Whoa, what's this?
Jim, you got a little feedback.
All right.
Captain Gigliotti, I apologize for muting you.
But
we'll come back to you though, Captain. Jim, Richard Cooper, you're up.
Yeah, basically Rich Cooper, I got on board January 2001, was there till January 2004. I had Captain Gigliotti and Captain Dykoff both Was in RAS division when I first got there. When I left, I was in first division. Went to Mayport, did my twilight tour from ATG, retired out of the Navy 21 years. Worked for FDOT 11 years, now working for One Call Care Management.
Excellent. Vic,
Yes, Vic Helberg from Iowa. I live in Marshalltown, Iowa. I operate our family jewelry store that just turned 122 years old. I'm fourth generation. I served on the USS Seattle from 1968, plank owner, up until 71, July 7 of 71. I was a commissaryman and cooked a lot for you. I ended as second class when I came out of the service. I am proud to be one of the two that began this Veterans Association for the USS Seattle. I'm very proud of that, and I will continue to work to make this a better, stronger group forever, as long as I can. Thank you very much for all being here tonight.
thank you, Vic, for all you do for the association. Bob Miller.
Yes, I was on the ship from 1970 to 1973 in third division, boatswain mate, second class. Had the captain's gig during that time with three different captains. And I live in Marshalltown also, where Vic lives. And I've been retired for 5 years now.
And on the video that we post, we will post from last time. I think there's some better sea stories from then, from the gig time. So
Yeah, there's some.
you'll have to check that out once I get it posted.
Okay.
Benny, you're in the next on my screen.
Am I next?
Can you hear me?
So, yes, we can.
Okay. My name's Benny Helms. I was on board the Seattle from 1974 to 1977. I was electrician's mate, second class in race division. And now live in Virginia. I'm retired. And I'd like to thank Vic for the hugging. Thank you, buddy. And that's
Thank you,
about
Ben.
all I know.
I appreciate it, Benny. We'll keep us moving. Mark Giraldi.
Hey, hi, everybody. I'm Mark Giraldi. I'm the secretary for the Seattle Veterans Association. I was on the Seattle from 73 to 75. I was leading ET. I see we have another ET with us. And got out of the Navy in 75 and went to a medical device firm and stayed with them for 32 years and retired, and now living in Punta Gorda, Florida.
Don't sound so happy.
I'm thrilled, except for the 70% humidity and 95 degrees today.
It was
Hey,
40
we
today.
don't have any white
It was
stuff.
awful.
Yeah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Paul, you're up next and you're on mute. You knew that.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So Paul Natopsky, I was on board the end of 99 until September 2004. I was electronics technician, OE division. Most people might remember me from working on the computers on the ship. Yeah, BM1 or BMC Cooper too, yeah.
You look slightly familiar.
We didn't have
You know,
computers.
obviously aged a little bit, but yeah.
We didn't have computers.
Yeah.
Sailors are getting younger. See that?
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm glad you're here, Paul.
Yeah.
Phil.
Yes, Phil Rule. I was on board 85, 86. Been retired for a very long time, living in Vermont.
You're my neighbor. And you've made it to every call. That's great. I haven't been able to keep track of everybody, but you know, the Admiral Hall, in my screen, I'm just going I'm going across the rows. Welcome.
Understood. Pat Hall, everybody. Hey, I was on Seattle from 2004 till I decommissioned her in 2005. Vic, it's good to see you again, and thanks for all you do for everyone here. I've been retired from the Navy now for 6 years. It's hard to believe. And I live in Houston, Texas now. I'm actually, you guys will get a kick out of this. I'm I'm an advisor at Chevron in Houston, and I really, what I do is I go around and help leaders be better leaders. So it's all about leadership development. And you guys will laugh, when they offered me this position, I asked them if they really paid people to do this, because it was just a part of the job we did while we were in the Navy. And they said, we do. And I said, well, I'll come here for 2 years, and 6 years later, I'm still here. So thanks for having me.
That's awesome. The storm hasn't moved west and is hitting you at all, is it? Or is it hitting to the east?
It's in the Gulf for us. It's going to hit New Orleans. So we're just getting, it's just overcast is all it was today.
Super. We're going to hear more from you shortly. Fred, you're up.
Oh, Fred Holbein. I was a radarman first class LPO when we crossed the line of death, Gaddafi's line of death, and we also shot down the battle group I was with, shot down some aircraft, and we sank a bunch of boats. But I was there from 82 to 86. Got there when Captain Rotruff was there, and left when Captain Frost, known as Frosty, took over command, and then later became Vice Admiral. And I retired in 96, 24 years ago, with 21 years in the Navy as a Senior Chief. And Captain Frost, or Vice Admiral Frost, was going to be coming to my retirement ceremony, and something happened in the world that took him away from me. But anyhow, my XO at the time at the command I was at said, "How the hell do you know a Vice Admiral?" So I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm retired.
Another Ohio name. That's very good. Captain Gigliotti, I'm Dan Jastinsky. Welcome.
Hey, let me unmute here, Dan. Thank you. This is my first one of these. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, but you just seem to freeze a little just then, unless you're not moving.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, thanks to Craig Honor for reaching out to me. I've been trying to do this for a couple of years, but I said now's the time, and I try to de-scope some I'm doing at Lockheed. I had Seattle from August 2001 to February of 2003, and I enjoyed the heck out of that command. It was all new for me. I think all the speakers who were there can attest to that. I retired in 2007 and enjoyed the heck all, and Dave Dykoff. I retired in 2007 and it's a joy to be connected with all shipmates, and I look forward to meeting several who were shipmates as well. So thank you.
Well, we're glad you're here. With your bandwidth, it might be a better signal for voice if we skip the video. So we might have to go to phone only, but we appreciate that. We know what you look like now, though. The funny part here is people are bouncing around, but I've got Captain Dykoff is on my screen now. So, but you're not moving. Are you okay? I'm afraid he's okay. He's not frozen. Good. You're up.
Am I up? All right.
And we met in San Francisco, so
Dave
at least I could
Dykoff
recognize.
Here, flew F-14s, F-18s Navy, did a lot of other things there. It was my great honor from 2003 to 2004 to command USS Seattle. What a deal. You've got the guy I relieved here, Captain Gigliotti, and the guy who relieved me, Captain Hall. So I haven't seen either of their ugly mugs since for quite some time. So what a good deal. So hey, I really appreciate the invitation and of course everything that the officers of the association do. You guys, it's an incredible association. I just pulled up the speech I gave in San Francisco when I was honored to join the reunion there, and was reliving my time and my adventures on the great ship Seattle, and looking through the things I talked about that night. But well, what a tremendous experience that was, and especially for a dumb aviator. You know, we you know something about running an aircraft carrier and the departments, but holy smokes, it was a tremendous experience. Such a different demographic there with you know, LDOs and warrants and senior enlisted running the ship. the prominence of deck department with the rigs and all the rest of the stuff, the steam engineers, which I wasn't, I didn't really know before that, it was mostly a nuclear. Wow, what a great experience it was, and an honor to be with you all here tonight. So thanks so much for the invitation, and Giggs and Monty, so good to see you. Anyway, if you're interested now, I'm still working. I'm working at the Missile Defense Agency for a defense contractor. I run a contract in Colorado Springs here that works for Jacobs, the company Jacobs, working for the Missile Defense Agency. So thanks again for the invitation.
We're so glad you're here. I've had a little bit of bouncing around, so if I missed anybody, there's 2 people on phones. 740 is Dave, so I'll let the president talk.
Thank you very much. This is David Holton, and I'm the president of the. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I can. I was just trying to cut you off.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You're fired, Dan. We'll find another treasure. I'm just kidding. No, we're just really proud to be a part of the association. I joined right after the decommissioning of the ship, and just a wonderful group of people, and I'm just so thankful that we were able to have someone like Captain Craig Honor to come along and shepherd us as well, and be able to have the contacts to the past CEOs and folks who Admiral Hall as well, and others along the way to enhance our ability to just have a quality organization. I'm just proud to be a part of it. I was on the ship from 71 to 73. I was a PN. Got there as a PN3 when I left, but I was did the cruise book and captain's phone talker on the bridge, and had a great opportunity to meet Captain Townsend and just to know him as a person, and he got to know me as a person. Really, I should say that. And I cherished that time with him. What a wonderful leader and a mentor he was for me to just watch how he commanded. And then as I have heard other commanding officers speak at our reunions, and I've gotten to know Craig, I feel the same honor of the privilege of being around those folks who just love our country and invest their time and energy and growing people on the ship.
Thank you, Dave. And I know with your Wi-Fi connection is much better than the past, so you're doing fine. 859. I didn't get. I'm sorry. I don't know who this is.
Oh, this is Danny Abner.
Oh, Danny.
Yeah. You remember me? You remember me, don't you? My name is Danny Abner.
I don't know phone numbers.
Oh, well, I know. I'm just messing with you. I'm currently a board member of the association. I served on board the Seattle in 69-70. I am a plank owner. I started out in the 3rd Division deck and then transferred to the supply division and spent most of my time in supply down in the laundry. I am retired for about 5 years now and live in Lexington, Kentucky. I really enjoyed my time on the Seattle, and I've really enjoyed being a part of this association, and hopefully we can continue to grow it as we move forward. Thanks.
Well, I think I've hit everybody, but yell if I missed you. So what we've done in the previous calls, we tried to go in chronological order to talk about the major things that were occurring during the service of a commanding officer. And if I look at my notes, Jim, that's going to put you up first. If I skip over Craig, because Craig's really a 90s guy. Actually, one of the last things I did on board the ship was take part in the change of command ceremony for Captain Honor. And as a JG at the time, it was a beautiful summertime, and it was a great experience. And we had some fun on board, but this is about the 2000s, and I was already working hard in industry then. So I will start, and let's start talking about what was going on, Jim, 2001 to 2003. Not that there was any pivotal things going on in 01. Jump right in. Help me out.
Well, thank you. I'll leave the video off so we just kill the voiceover so it doesn't mess up the bandwidth, to your point. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get through Nuke Power School or survive it, as my friends Monty and Rip will tell you. That was a joy. But then when I found out as I left the Nimitz, the XO, that I was going to go to be the CO of Seattle, my deep draft command, my commanding officer on Nimitz was Steve Ferks, who also had Seattle. And he was, I think he was more tickled than I was that I was coming to the ship, and his enthusiasm got me all pumped up for it as well. For us aviators coming in, as you know, it's relatively new for us private ships. Haven't spent most of the time in that cockpit, and it was a neat experience because it was all new. And you always wondered if you were prepared for that. But during our tenure there, we were very busy. I mean, I took the ship that summer, and we were under a very heavy ops tempo lockdown because the ship had been operating so heavily, it had been in the yards, and we weren't going to be going to sea very often, as we were told right before workups with the Kennedy Battle Group. Yeah, so we were kind of refined to just mostly training at the pier, believe it or not, and then a couple of short underway periods. We only had one as the change of command before events of the world changed forever before we took it to sea. I did go out to sea for a short work with Kennedy at that time. We came back not expecting to go for another couple of months due to our op tempo limitations. And then on the morning of September 11th, we were pierside at Pier 12 in Norfolk, and things changed drastically, as you all know. I never will forget that day. I don't think any of us will. The XO walked in. I was having a conversation with the Master Chief Tim Schendel, over coffee. And he said, "Cap, we need to turn the TV on." And we watched this whole thing unfold and waited for orders to get underway. I called the chief engineer and said, "Eng, get the pre-underway checklist started. We don't know what we're going to be doing here in the next few hours, but I want to know when your status is to get underway on min boiler." And that's what they did. So, and from there, we actually spent 4 days locked down the ship waiting for orders while the TR, which was across the pier from us, got underway, went down, out the channel. We're waiting for orders to go as well. Well, the op tempo limitations got pulled off. We were told we were going to be at sea fairly regularly, working up with Kennedy Battle Group, and the rest started a chain of events through the year. We deployed with Kennedy Battle Group that year or the following year in early 2002. Spent the better part of 7 months in the running fuel and ordnance. Once we got through the Red Sea and the Gulf of Oman, between the Gulf of Oman up into and including the northern area of the Arabian Gulf, quite an experience. We were busy. I can't tell you the number of underway replenishments we did, but it was an experience again for an aviator who spent most of the time flying in airplanes, to be able to really get to know the crew. Before I got to Seattle, I've always talked about my favorite rating being aviation bosun's mates. And then I realized an even greater rate was, and I don't mean to diss anybody here, but I really learned to love, bosun's mates and machinist mates. There used to be boiler techs, they're gone now, but we still had boiler techs on Seattle when I was there, and it was a pleasure working for those great young men and women. What a pleasure. I think I was halfway through my deployment, when Tim Schendel, our Master Chief, came up on the bridge one day. He was always up there. We were on the bridge wing when we had either Kennedy and or other ships alongside. And I was so enthralled with what I was doing and what I was learning every day from the ship and from the battle group that I think I remember this so vividly. I turned to Tim Schendel and I looked at him and I says, "Is this and I expletive deleted, coolest thing you've ever seen in your life?" And he just got this big grin on his face. This Cap, I've been doing this for, the better part of 25 years. And he said, this is without a doubt one of the neatest things I'll ever see in my life. And he had just come from a CMC tour with an air wing on Kennedy itself. So we were a pretty good team. And my XO, Craig Gibbons, an engineer, was just freaking awesome. We bonded and we molded the team. The team was up on all cylinders. Sadly, though, we had to go home after after our tour of duty in the Gulf, and I won't get into details of that because that's a whole other conversation. But it was all good. Got home and then went in the yards and got the ship ready to go. And during that yard period, unfortunately, but fortunately for Rip, had to turn the ship over to Dave Dykoff. The second time he followed me as the XO in Nimitz, and I was honored to turn the Seattle back over to him because I knew it would be in good hands as we got their turn at the helm. So that's a short story. There's a lot more to it than that I'd like to share with you at some point in the future. But it was a great time, and we again passed a lot of fuel, built a lot of great relationships. I will tell you one thing as an aside before I go. We had the good privilege of working not so with so many U.S. ships, but also our allied partners during that period of time. And I will tell you that during Enduring Freedom, the Japanese also played, and they had AOEs as well. I had the good fortune of working alongside some great Japanese commanders, commanding officers of their ships. I called them the mini AOEs. But we had a special relationship with one ship called the Tokiwa, where we refueled with them 18 times. And they would shuttle fuel out to us. We could in turn take it to the U.S. ships. They weren't allowed to do it at the time. And I look forward before I leave this earth of actually getting to meet the captain of Tokiwa, because you don't realize how strong your allies are until you do the things that are behind the scenes and not so much in the press, is work together with professional mariners from around the world. And I consider the Japanese who worked with us in that, who were loyal allies in Enduring Freedom, to be amongst the best I had a chance to sail with who weren't U.S. sailors. It was a real experience. And again, more stories later about the Elvis impersonators and the music on the ship, and their sumo wrestler impersonators, and some of the comical stuff we used to do to keep the crew laughing, even in the face of very, very serious operations and evolutions. So I'll pass the baton to the next one there.
Well, Jim, I thank you for that. I haven't heard about the Japanese Navy, so that's a good story, and I'll have to dig into that one of these days. I want to open up the floor to the sailors that are here. Any questions about the time period that Jim touched on, that stories that have been passed down? Jump in and start grilling. I remember when Dave was telling the story in San Francisco about the CO that he relieved. Just kidding, Dave. That was not true, Jim. Really, it was a very good speech. You were only picked on a little bit.
I probably deserved it. I left the ship in pretty bad shape because we were in a dry dock at the time. So not the way I wanted to leave it to my predecessor or my successor.
They were lobbying me to lasso you to come out and talk at the next one. So.
Well, we're disappointed we didn't get to Seattle this year, but in the end, it's better to keep people safe than doing extra travel. Questions? I think I see Al's hand up.
Of course you do.
BMC,
what did I do? Well, Captain Gigliotti, I was the third person to go through mast with you.
Here we go. Here we go.
And he's building ships now.
Dubious distinction.
And I'm sure BMC Cooper would never imagine that I would be doing something like that. He probably figured I'd be dead in a hole somewhere.
No, I figured one day you'd grow up.
I'm still trying to figure out when my supervisor is going to grow up.
How good was what was the outcome of the mast?
Was it 45 half pay for 2 months?
Nope. It was actually, I went to mast under Captain Gigliotti twice.
Yeah. Hey, Al, remember this is being recorded.
Okay.
Whatever.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
No, this is Article 15. That's the rules of evidence don't apply.
Hey, Cap, did you get him on an Article 87, I believe, as well?
I don't even remember, to tell you the truth, but obviously, either I learned or he learned, because it looks like he's done pretty well.
Well, I hope you record me. Maybe I'll get a break and be famous.
So we did have a latecomer to the call. Jerry Foley from Washington D.C. jumped in while we were talking to Jim there. Jerry, if I missed anything, you want to do a quick intro? You're the last one I see that jumped in.
Yes. Can you hear me now or see me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, I was on the ship earlier. It was in the 80s, and I missed that group. So I thought, well, at least I could get in with this one for like during the ship's last days.
Well, it'll be some good stories here. 3 of the past commanding officers from the 2000s and 1 from the 90s. So we're in good hands, and it was good seeing you in Austin. So welcome back. As Jim passed the command in dry dock, Dave took over. And then I met Dave in San Francisco for the speech. You are on mute still, Dave.
Yes, I guess I'm talking. As Giggs mentioned, took command in the dry dock. Had some adventures there. I know in the afternoon after I took command, we had an inadvertent discharge in the armory. So instantly getting plenty of attention from the chain of command after I put the star on. But that was fun. We also had a contractor fall in the tank. He fell about 30 feet and bounced off a ledge and went another 10 feet in an empty tank. What an evolution that, and he was a big guy too. And, you know, we had to do the extraction, get him out of there. And that was quite the adventure. Anyway, one of the things that impressed me about the ship was, I guess you'd say, the flexibility. You know, when she had 8 million gallons of fuel and 3,000 tons of ammunition and gosh knows how much dry goods and refrigerated stuff, she'd draw about 40 feet, just like a carrier. We came out of the shipyard out after we were in dry dock and then back in the water with nothing. And not only that, we had no water. If something happened at the yard, I don't remember what. And as you know, a steamship, as you all know, it's kind of your lifeblood. You're not going anywhere without it. Well, we were behind schedule, so we went up to Craney Island to take on fuel. And first of all, it was amazing. We were drawing about 17 feet of water, so she's bouncing around like a cork. I was wondering if it would even be stable. Anyway, we went up there to get fuel and water. We were supposed to have it at the pier, and as it turned out, the connection was such low pressure, we didn't have any chance of getting the water we needed and staying on schedule. And I thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Of course, we were calling trucks, and none of that was going to work. I still remember I had one big asset at my disposal, the American Sailor. Guys went up to the road, found the fire hydrant, and said, Captain, I think this might work. I said, is it pure enough? And they said, yeah, we tested it. And they ran a 5-inch line from a fire hydrant up on the road all the way down to the ship. We put it through 2 purification trailers. We had a Y splitter, and I think in a 2.5 or 3 inch, whatever they were, put them through 2 purification trailers, and we saved the mission basically. So I mean, talk about being innovative. The American Sailor gets it done, and that saved us. That saved the whole schedule. We had a whole bunch of unreps lined up, and we never would have made any of them without pulling that one out of the fire.
As a past boilers officer, panicking over getting chlorinated water into my boiler versus my evaporator water, I would have been panicked. Good that it was somebody else.
Just going to Craney thinking, oh my gosh, I hope this works. And then we got in there and it didn't work, and we were crestfallen. I mean, we thought all hope was lost, but they saved the day. Unfortunately, the Navy decided once they established the decommissioning date, they said, we can get one more CO through there. Monty, Captain Hall, and that meant I didn't get to deploy. So that was a big disappointment. But I'll tell you, we kept real busy running up and down the East Coast from Miami to way up north, moving a lot of stuff. And, you know, I tell you, the whole mission, I always liked it so much. When you're out there on a combatant, you know, you're practicing, you're being ready, but we had to move that stuff or the fleet stopped. And I mean, you knew you had a mission every day. And if you didn't get it done, that was a big deal. That fouled up the fleet. And that was special to me. And as Giggs said, you know, I still remember those days. You'd be out there with 4 rigs to starboard and 4 rigs to port, and a vert rep going off the back with a helo flying back. And I just thought, this, you know, this is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. What an incredible orchestra in it, and keeping it all together. And what great ship stuff, seamanship and driving them and operating rigs. And I mean, it's just the best kind of operational types of things you can do as far as ship handling and moving stuff around. I really, it made the tour incredibly rewarding in watching the incredible talent of the crew to get all that stuff done. But it was a great adventure. Still wish I had got to deploy, but hey, that's how it goes.
When you say up north, Dave, how far north did the Seattle make it during the instead of vacates? Where were you tooling around?
Exactly how far we went up. Of course, it was an adventure just going back into the old home port up there in Earl. I had never done that before until then. We were in Norfolk the whole time, but I can't remember how far up we went. But we sure went. We headed down a lot. I know. I know one night when we were off the Diamond Shoal, we were. I put in my night orders. You know, don't go aground on the Diamond Shoal. Kind of kidding. And the next day I got up and I had a little GPS that I used to run myself. And I looked at the track and there we were headed right for the Diamond Shoal. And they had got, something got mixed. They were making a course correction and forgot to recorrect. And we got fairly close and well farther outside of our track that would have dictated call to the captain, but that didn't happen. But unfortunately, I figured it out there. So needless to say, we had some significant conversations about that little issue. But I really enjoyed running up and down the coast and doing our duty with Kennedy. So it was good. It was terrific.
It seems that Seattle and the Kennedy were paired together all the time. Wherever they were together usually, it seems. And I don't want to be the officer of the deck that was off track that far. As one of the junior officers, Captain Trafton, who was right before Craig, had to talk to me about an incident in the Red Sea. So I don't want to be that officer of the deck.
Hey, he was a great guy, but I'll tell you this, he was my navigator.
It's the same job I had.
So needless to say, he was pretty embarrassed by having that happen while he had the deck.
I've been there, done that. That's true.
I'm sure he went on to do great things. He had a great tour with us. He was a great guy.
Well, the floor is open to grill Dave over any incidents at sea, or if you're thinking about something that occurred during those years. Not knowing every sailor here, the age of our sailors are a little older than your term of commanding officer.
Well, is Chief Cooper still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, because you're not showing up on my, I don't know if there's like an admin screen or whatever. But do you remember Captain Dykoff's girlfriend walking down the pier?
No, I don't recall that story, sir.
No?
No, I recall because I was the PT coordinator and we're over there to do the PT. Captain comes over to do the PT and the guys go out to run the 1.5 miles. They had to do 2 laps around over there in Norfolk Naval Shipyards. They get done with their first lap and I'm looking at the captain. I'm like, are you going to run? He's like, oh yeah, I got it. They get about half the guys get by on the first lap. He takes off and he beats them all. They had to do 2 laps. Most of them had completed 1 lap and he still beat them. You still running like you used to, Cap?
No, I can't say that I am, but I'm still running. Not the good speeds though. I didn't remember the story about my then girlfriend, who's my now wife. So that I'd like to hear.
Thank God.
That. Unfortunately, she's not here. She's on a trip. But.
Yeah, I remember those young men cat calls and everything else because she was walking up the pier. You grabbed that one MC on the bridge wing and said, announced, quit whistling at my girlfriend.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Bird girl.
I'll tell her that story though. I'm gonna say it's true, if it isn't. Very good.
Cece, come here.
Very good. Well, it was the next, as the ship changed from home, from there, what I just found out, Dave, though, was you actually had to do a special trip to get to Naval Weapons Station Earl, which is, we had transferred the ship there in the 90s. You actually, during your time on board was all in Virginia, the shipyard?
Yep.
And at sea.
Right, and we actually went into Earl and did the change command where Captain Hall took over. But that was
Very
my first
good.
time in there.
Well, that's as the navigator, as we got up there, that was an interesting sea and anchor detail. So I will let this go to let's see what's going on with Pat Hall as you take over in the change of command at Naval Weapons Station Earl.
Yeah, so first off, Rip left me a ship in really good condition. I appreciate that because it was, as both Giggs and Rip have said, it probably was the highlight of my career. You talk about a learning experience and where you got to operate independently without Big Brother watching you all the time. This was the epitome of that. To watch the 400 sailors and everything they do was just really impressive. So first off, I gotta remind Rip that when the change of command took place in Earl, New Jersey, I had never seen a ship that was tied up to the pier move that much. I mean, this ship was moving. It was a windy day, cold day up in Earl when I took over, and I remember watching the crew in the hangar because we had to do it inside, and they were moving 2 or 3 feet each direction as the ship was moving while it was tied up to the pier. So, you know, that was a great experience. Rip left me in really good position there, which I really did appreciate. But I will tell you one funny story, and Rip, I may have shared this with you before, but we were supposed to get underway the very next day, and we got up that morning, and the fog was so thick you couldn't even see the bow of the ship. So we're in Earl, New Jersey. We're supposed to get underway. You can't even see the bow. I'm looking at an XO who it was a lifelong SWO, had just come from being XO of a frigate, and I'm like, "We're not going anywhere, are we?" And he goes, "Nope, we're not." And by that afternoon, we were able to get underway. But by doing that, we got underway late in the day, and as you know, it's a pretty long sea and anchor detail out till you actually get out to the open water there for those of you that have been out of Earl. And so the sun's gone down now. We're still not out to open ocean there, but we're just about there, and I can finally, you know, relax a little bit. So I decided to go into my cabin there, which is directly underneath the bridge. We didn't use the at-sea cabin, at least I didn't during that time. I'd go down to the cabin right underneath the bridge. And as soon as I get down there, I'm hearing feet run back and forth up on the bridge. And all of a sudden I hear a generator shut down. And I'm like, well, that's not good. And I can tell, you know, the lights, what lights I had on in the room were flickering. And sure enough, before I could even get up to the bridge, the other generator shut down. So I had both generators, and then guess what happens? That emergency diesel generator comes on, and that thing is just louder than all get out. And I'm just, what in the world is going on? So, of course, we're completely dead in the water, no lights, no nothing, as this whole transition takes place. And I'm like, I've been in command one day, and I'm already going to lose my command because there's ships all around us right now. And I'm thinking, this is just not going to be pretty. And what it turned out, as you guys can all probably figure, they did have one over voltage, one of the generators. And so the procedures were you shut it down. Well, guess what? When they had one over voltage, it automatically shut down. And when they called for the shutdown, they called to shut down the opposite generator. So they ended up shutting down both generators. And then the emergency diesel, it took us about 4 or 5 hours. So about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we finally got back under our own propulsion and out of there, and never had another issue like that again. You know, it was it was interesting to listen to Rip talk about his time because he did all the hard work on the ship, no doubt about it. I took it back into Norfolk. We had just about a month, and then we were underway with the Kennedy, as everyone's already pointed out. The Kennedy was, it was our running mate, if you will, for all extensive reasons. And we went on deployment through the Suez Canal and into the Gulf and spent the entire time in the Gulf. And I can remember too, having the opportunity to, pass gas, as I always tell people, to Pakistani ships, to the Aussies, to the Brits, but primarily to the Kennedy there. The one highlight for that deployment, though, was I did get the opportunity to get out of the Gulf, service some of the ships that were supporting the, at that time, the global war on terrorism off Somalia, some of our ships that were doing some of the anti-pirate stuff. And by doing that, I was able to get the ship actually a really good port visit in the Seychelles. And that was a lot of fun to go into a port where you weren't there with the aircraft carrier. So, and the sailors had a great time on the small island in the Seychelles and a really good time there. When we got underway, met back up with the Kennedy and finished the deployment. Unfortunately, if you remember, the Kennedy on that deployment actually hit a dhow, and we came alongside the next day on that, and that was not a happy time. But it is what it is. It's a tough environment to operate on, which many of us got to experience with our aircraft carrier. You've got more vessels out there than you can imagine, and trying to run flight ops and actually and actually drive the ship at the same time was a real challenge. The last thing, and I noticed a couple of people here on the call were at the decommissioning. We came back, took us about 3 or 4 months to get the ship prepared to actually decommission. Rip, you remember going into Craney Island to unload fuel and water? Well, I got the unique experience to coming back from a 6-month deployment. And instead of pulling into Norfolk to go home, we pulled into Craney Island because it was the most cost-effective thing to do. And we offloaded all that fuel because you needed to have a certain amount of water and fuel on board just for the center of buoyancy for the ship. Well, we went into Craney. So probably the most embarrassing thing in my life was after we offloaded that, we were with about a 17-foot draft, and we legally couldn't operate our own propulsion with that. So I actually had to go from Craney Island back to Norfolk under tow. So that was the last time taking the ship in there. And it was, the brow wasn't equipped to even accommodate us with the 17-foot draft. We had to add additional structure to the top of the brow to even get on and off the ship. Unique experience, fun experience, and just like you guys have said, some of the hardest working sailors you ever got the pleasure to work with. And really one of our jobs during that whole time was to get them all a new home. So that was really, we were focused on getting the ship ready to decommission and to get the sailors dispersed to good jobs. And I'm happy to say those that were going on to jobs went on to those jobs. Those that were going to finish up their time on the ship, they helped get it ready to decommission. And then we had that really, really cold and windy day there for the decommissioning. So the last thing I'll leave you with, and the thing I remember the most is I actually owned a boat myself and over actually in the Virginia Beach area. And after we decommissioned the ship, I drove home, got on my boat, and went out and met the ship. It was getting towed by one of our ocean-going tugs, and actually got on the radio and talked to the captain of the tug and actually did a couple of 360s around the ship as it was getting towed out. So that was my last shot of seeing the Seattle, except I did see her up in the Philly shipyard afterwards because, she had a lot of good parts still on her, a lot of stuff, the equipment that no one makes anymore. And so even though they cut her mast off so she could get under the bridge up there in Philly, and they, we welded a lot of the spaces shut, all those pumps and fire pumps and, all those rigs were still good rigs. And so they became basically a Walmart, if you would, for the rest of the supply ships. So they went up there and they robbed her until I imagine she's either still there or she's cut up into scrap now. So That was my time aboard. It was
I
great.
can give an update.
You dumbass.
What's that?
Oh, I don't know what, I think somebody was talking to somebody else. I could say that I flew into Philadelphia and I saw the Seattle pier side there. And then about 3 months later, I flew back in and it was gone. And I then read that it was towed down to Mississippi and has been fully taken apart. But it did sit in Philadelphia for several years.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
So the
Admiral
decommissioning
Hall,
was in, go Craig. Go
this
ahead.
is David.
Oh, David.
Admiral Hall, I attended that decommissioning where you were, and my wife and I went there, and I just went up to the ship like the day before. I got there early, and I told them who I was, and they said, you can't go aboard the ship because we're, taking things down. It's very dangerous up there. And I said, well, I served on that ship, and I just wanted to see it one more time before the decommissioning. And they called up there, and there was a female lieutenant came down and talked to me, and she said, come with me. And she escorted me me and my wife through the ship the day before. And I was able to go down and kind of got down close to where my berthing department was, and we looked through the wall, was sealed off. But we went up the bridge and everything and walked through the hangars. It was a really unique experience because, they had stripped the ship and pulled things down from from the walls, and there were things laying all over the ship. And I understood all that, but it was a very emotional experience for me to see a ship that was that we just had immaculate care of. Be in the condition it was, but we got to the bridge and there was nothing really there. But I understood that, but it was still I'm glad I did it. But it was an emotional experience to see how
Hey, Craig, I'm glad you got to get aboard to do that.
If I can butt in here, I was at the decommissioning, and we were told that the ship was going to be taken out and sunk as a reef. And that was why we were not allowed to go on board, because it was not stable. And of course, as we know now, that wasn't the case, and it was taken down to Texas and cut up and sliced up. But somewhere, I know I have a copy of it, but there's a picture of me and some of these guys on here throwing the last line over at the end of the decommissioning when the tug pulled it out of Norfolk. And that was one heck of a day. There's no doubt about it. I think I met Dave Dykoff that day, and some of the other people that had been on the ship. I had been in touch by mail with the crew when I found out it was being decommissioned, and I was in touch with Pat Glover, if anybody remembers her. She was an officer, and she kept me in touch as far as when the decommissioning was going to be, where it was going to be. And as Dave knows, and Phil and some of the others, I made it down to Norfolk and spent the weekend down there. I even got to go to my old apartment over on West Ocean View. It was just an amazing weekend. Loved it.
Ken, I just posted that picture in the chat room.
Good.
Yeah, I remember the ceremony. Very moving ceremony for decommissioning. Very, very, very emotional.
And it was cold, just like it was very cold. Right?
Yeah, it was cold. It was windy and cold, but it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing process and the procedure, and to watch the sailors on board and watch all the sailors exit the ship. It was I'll never forget it.
Can I butt in with a story from the time I was on?
You have the floor.
We were attached to the Saratoga Battle Group, and we had pulled into Suda Bay Crete to take on some fuel there. And we were supposed to be there for 3 days. So I asked permission from the captain if I could take down our long wires to do maintenance. And he said, yeah, sure. He said, how long is it going to be? And I told him, I said, it'd be about a day. And he said, okay, no problem. Well, then this incident with the Achille Laurel happened. And the battle group got sent over there to take care of that. And that's where they coined the phrase, you can run, but you can't hide. And anyway, our ship got tasked to go with them, and I left 2 radiomen and my long wire on the pier. And it was 2 weeks before we got them back. Now, that
They
was a
hated every
funny
minute
story.
in Crete, right?
Oh, yes, they did. We picked them up in Naples. Yeah, that was really fun. And then another really nice story. It's not from the Seattle. It's from my last ship, which was the Stump destroyer. Had an RM3 on there that was like the most ornery little guy I ever knew. He hated and fighted everything, and I made him learn every manual with the radioman that governed the radioman rating. And he fought me every step of the way. And he kept telling me he was his 3rd class. He made 2nd just before I left there. And he said, I'm getting out of the Navy. I don't know why you teach me all this stuff. Well, he got out of the Navy, and I don't know what happened, but he came back in. But right now, he's been the command master chief on 2 aircraft carriers, and he's presently the 2nd most senior master chief in the Navy. His name is Sean Lyons. So
I think I met him.
He's redhead, skinny guy, big nose.
Yeah,
But,
he comes over to Marinette Marine occasionally.
Okay.
Looking at new ships.
I did want to add one other. Oops, sorry guys.
Oh, that's okay. I was done.
So Ken,
I know
Ken,
that Phil and Bill Norris will remember this, and Vic, the Seattle coming back from Yorktown, and we were supposed to be going to NOB, and we came up the river, and we were supposed to hang a nice starboard turn towards Norfolk, and aft steering went out, and we went aground, and we buried the snout of the ship right off of Quantico base and sat there buried because we needed a lot of tugs to pull us out, and tugs were busy at NOB and Craney and the shipyard. And so we sat there blocking the shipping lanes in the Elizabeth River and sat there, I would say probably 7-8 hours maybe before the tugs got to us, buried in the beach. Fun. Okay.
Ken, is
right.
that when the sonar bubble got punctured?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't really know what damage was done. I know that we had, I think it was either 4 or 6 tugs pull us out, and then at least 4 of them taking us in, because I guess there was damage to the bow that was underwater that we didn't know. But that was, it was entertaining. I guess.
Well, isn't that when somebody cut the after steering pressure line with a pipe cutter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a helicopter full of FBI and CIA visitors.
Well, that was well before me, but
yeah.
I know when we went into North Shipco, this was under Captain Gigliotti, if he's still online. I don't know if he is.
He is here.
When they did finally lift us up into the dry dock, this was after our deployment for Operation Enduring Freedom. Our sonar bubble was draining for, what was it, like 3 weeks?
No, it wasn't that long, but there was, We noticed two things. It's funny you should mention that, Al, because I remember that very distinctly. We walked down, we got in the dry dock late. There were winds that would not allow us to get into the dry dock when we wanted to. So we got in there late. They started the dewater late in the afternoon, and we stayed until they had we could actually get down the dry dock and walk and do the inspection with the crew. And I remember this very distinctly. Your point is well taken. Yeah, there was a leak at the bulbous bow. It was never a sonar dome that I could tell. It was all metal for the bow. But we walked about a third of the way down the keel, about 4.5 feet, kind of stooping down like Igor, just doing a real quick cursory check of the hull, and there was a distinct, like a crease on the hull. And I looked at the ship's engineer and I said, "What in the hell is that?" He goes, "I don't know. We got to check this out." You see, because we never had any indication of anything happening. Well, it turns out, a lot of us were like, did we hit something and no one even knew about this? So, the things you discover when you see the hull of a ship out of water for the first time in a lot of years, pretty amazing. Found out that there was a record of a piece of damage. I think the same thing with the bow, Al, was that it was recorded in the port engineer's records about what had been done with the hull, but it was so really hard to find that stuff. That's why the first thing they do when they get a ship in the dry dock is do just that. They inspect the bow and look, or inspect the hull to look for anything unforeseen or unanticipated to see what they got, particularly where it's set. And it was pretty interesting. But it's funny you remember that, because I do too.
Well, Captain, what's really funny was that makes me remember this is the nameplate on our berthing barge that we were parked next to. Manufactured, Marinette Marine Corporation.
So you're working for a legacy company. Good.
Well, I actually work for an Italian corporation now, but you know what? Yeah, we're building the Freedom class littoral combat ships, which somebody had mentioned the Cleveland.
That was me.
That was who? Say your name.
Ken.
Ken. Well, yes, there you are, Ken. I am in the what is called 4C operations, which means I'm a how many rates do I fill? I'm everything from the BMSN through DC and HT, and I'm working on MM and EN. Yeah, I'm
well, I'm glad they're still building ships there. That's a good thing. Our dent we put on the ship in the 90s was not below the waterline. We were pierside in Saudi Arabia when a gunner's mate decided to jump onto a fork truck and throw it in reverse, but couldn't stop it. So he jumped off right before the fork truck left the pier, banging into the bow of the ship, and then dropping 50 feet in the water. We did recover the item the next day, but it was ruined for life. But we did dent the bow with the fork truck. I was just glad I was navigator, not the gunner. But we didn't leave any dents below the waterline, I have to say, while I was navigator. Although going into Crete, when we lost the tug, I was afraid we were going aground there at the pier. And good thing Captain Trafton made sure we made it pier side, because I was a bit nervous. So He did dent the pier a little bit, but we got it alongside. But anybody else have any anytime they dented the hull? Richard did.
Yeah.
BMC.
Oh,
BMC is muted.
which BMC?
Cooper. We got to ask you to unmute.
Oh, come on, Chief.
I got one.
All
There you
right,
go.
Welton, be quiet for a while, please. All right. Hey, Captain Gig, I got one for you. I'm just going to say 2 letters, a number and a letter. 7 Alpha. You want to go on that story?
7 Alpha.
Yes, sir. You mentioned the Tokuwa. We're doing a consult.
7. Oh yeah, it wasn't Tokiwa though. It was the ship that relieved Tokiwa. We ripped the. Yeah, I know. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You want to go on that one?
Yep. We were alongside. It wasn't Tokiwa, and it was her sister ship. She had just got into the theater, and she took over Tokiwa's responsibility. And it was our one and only opportunity to take fuel from that ship before we were ready to part the area.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. We kind of all at the same time. Short story is she lost steering, right? A steering casualty that looked like she was opening quickly, and we had to do an emergency breakaway. And we noticed in her wake, you could see a definite perturbation in the wake, where there was a sudden rudder over. You could tell by the way that the wake was and the way that the trail was behind the ship. Bottom line is she lost steering or lost control of steering temporarily enough to take us out of the desired 180 feet required what we targeted for distance, and she was opening very rapidly. And we immediately sounded the emergency breakaway, did the emergency breakaway, could not trip the span or the high line. It was a mess.
Yeah, not on 7 Alpha.
No, couldn't trip it, and we were gonna lose the rig. Actually, it was her rig transferring fuel to us, but we were connected, and we just told her, get out of the way, it's gonna go. And we were gonna try to get her. We signaled her to slack. She wouldn't slack, so we couldn't trip it, and she just ripped it right off the side of the ship. It was, and I'm trying to think of that young second-class petty officer who was down on the rig. I don't know his name, but I saw the fear in his eyes when that thing tripped. We just yelled her, get out of the way, and he was close to it when it snapped. And I never will forget the look in that young man's face. We went down and talked to him after it was all over and just made sure he was okay.
That was BM2 Campbell. He was my rig captain on that station.
Yeah.
And he ended up he left. He made chief. He retired out as well. But that was Campbell. That was 7 Alpha. They basically tore out our king post on the ship. They took our double probe receiver and king post off the ship.
Yep.
Basically, I was about 2 feet from the king post when it went.
Yeah.
So but nobody got hurt. Everybody was safe. Campbell was in shock. That was about it. And then we had our little favorite first lieutenant, Mr. Ramos. Me and him got along really well. I see Dykoff over there laughing because he knows how well me and Mr. Ramos got along.
I have some recollection on that.
Yeah, But yeah, that's the only bad thing I had was we lost Station 7 Alpha on there. But we went to
I think that was outside of wiping a line shaft bearing early in the deployment. That is of evolution.
Yeah.
We faced some adversity, but thankfully no one got hurt. That was the bottom line. We brought them all home. But that scared a little bit of Jesus out of me too, because I was after watch this, because just get everybody out of the way. We can't do there's nothing we can do. Just let it go. And that's where it ended up. But the funny part was the next day we got a note from the captain asking them if anybody their crew members were hurt. We had, through our broken Japanese and English, we ensured that no one was hurt on the ship. And our helo crew went over the next day and brought the king post and rig back to us. in a net very unceremoniously aboard the ship.
What did they write on Cap? You remember what they wrote on it?
I don't remember what they wrote on it, but I know in the Japanese, Japanese system, they were very, very sorry.
Yes.
They were most humbled by it.
They had written on there actually in English, it said, "I am sorry," on the King Post itself.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's just great. No one was hurt. That's the key there.
That was the key. Whenever you're doing a rig, you make sure everybody was safe.
I saw a question in the text just now in the chat right before we are about to say goodnight. Ken and Bill, do you have stories about Chief Chin?
We do.
We're recording.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I certainly remember him, but I wasn't, I was in SM and I was not working with him on a daily basis. So he was just an interesting gentleman.
Well, this is our third run at talking to the commanding officers and the crew from the different decades. We were unable to make it to Seattle. We tried very hard to plan a good reunion for the crew. And we had a museum event ready to go and a lot of things ready. And then COVID got in the way. We may not make it back to Seattle. As we look at next year, the board is looking at an alternative. We might still be arguing with Seattle a little bit, but the museum's already moved along with our exposition. So we kind of missed the timing on this. I did get a lot of memories from last week where we were in Texas a year ago. Oh no, we were in Jacksonville a year ago. Year before that, we were in Texas. All places I've gotten into trouble. So it's good that I needed a year off apparently. I will hope to see everybody we will announce the new location. If you have not been to the reunions, they are a fun time. And the Seattle Sailors are troopers. We plan busy days and fun evenings, and the lubrication continues on in the evening. We make sure people don't need to drive anywhere. We hope to have you there. We hope to get guest speakers. If you've been a guest speaker, we thank you for that. And but we'll gladly take more guest speakers because we have storytelling, ship stories, sea stories, as well as grand ball speeches. Dave, you were going to do a
something happened
pitch.
with my living in the rural North Carolina. I just got bumped off it, but here I am again.
There you go. So do your sales pitch for making sure we get people into the association.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to give a special shout out to Captain Jim Giviano for spending his time tonight and sharing his stories. Captain David Dykoff as well. But I had a chance to meet him in one of our annual meetings, and of course, Rear Admiral Patrick Hall. I hope you're doing real well, Admiral, with your travel trailer driving around the country. And without, as well as just give a special shout out and a thank you to Craig Honor, Captain Craig Honor. When we started this organization a number of years ago, Captain Marlon Townsend, the second CO, kind of adopted us as his organization, and he was just a true inspiration and a guidance to many of us plank owners and first and second tour folks. And over time, we were able to run into Captain Craig Honor, and Craig has picked up that process. Unfortunately, Captain Council's passed away, and a number of years before that, he was suffering from some illnesses and things. And but Captain Craig Honor has just been so valuable to our organization, and without him, we would not have had the speakers that we had, the past COs, and have that experience. And so I just give a big shout out and a love to Captain Craig Honor, and also to the other captains who have spoken to us over the years in terms of coming to our reunions, and even spending their time tonight to share their stories and have the interaction that is so important to many of us in the USS Seattle Association. It was a special time, and I can tell from just all the interactions I had with the captains that Seattle was a special ship inside the U.S. Navy. A special ship to us because for many of us it was the only ship we served on, but for the captains that have shared with us their time on it, it was a special part of their career, and we're just so thankful they would spend their time and take their energy to support us in what we're doing. And we just encourage everyone who's on the call and all the others. We do a lot of things with the association. We try to do a lot of things to keep people engaged. And let me just turn over right now to Rich Tomar, Vice President, who's in charge of membership, and just reiterate how you can become a part of this organization. Rich?
All right, guys, I'm looking around and I see most of us are already members. Might be a few new names there. If you're interested in joining, which I hope you are, especially after this, Chief Cooper, I don't know if you're a member, I don't recall the name, but you could definitely get a hold of me through a Facebook page, any one of the 6 Seattle Facebook pages.
I will there, Rich.
Or somehow or another, we'll get you set up. Al, do we have you signed up?
No, I haven't done that yet.
That's right. I talked to you. I talked to you once before, and I'm getting an echo now. Thank you, Dan. But Danny Abner. But we do I will be sending out a letter to all members again. We're getting real close to the time for signing up. Trying to get as many members as we can. We've got, I believe, 50 lifetime members and about 60 dues paid members on a yearly basis. I'd really like to see that increase. Maybe not so much the lifetime members because we got a good selection of people there, but at least a year by year membership. Would like to see, maybe I'm dreaming a little bit, but I'd like to see 100 sailors join us during this next year. It's $30 a year. Like I say, Paul, you've paid before, so I've seen your name. A lot of us are lifetime members already. But if you know anybody else, I think Chief Cooper, you were talking about knowing some other guys. Give them a buzz, send them an email, let them know. So we're looking around. Also,
Thanks,
I'm
Rich.
sorry.
Thanks, Rich.
And one more thing too, before we sign off here. Like I said, Al Welton over there works for Marionette up there, and they're building a new class of FFG X style, which I believe I just saw someplace that it's going to be a Constellation class frigate. And the first frigate coming out of their FFG 6.2 is going to be good name Constellation. It was brought to my attention by Al that wouldn't it be nice if we could get one of the 10 ships that they're going to build up there named USS Seattle again. And it'll be there's another Detroit out there already. They're building another Kennedy. There's another America out there. Why can't there be another Seattle?
Only if she's only if she's the third one. We got the lucky number 3.
Well, that would be FFG 64, I believe, because they're continuing on with the numbers.
Yeah, what?
They're continuing on with the numbers, 64.
They can continue on with the numbers, but you know what? If we put in enough emphasis, she might have a 64 on her hull, but in reality, she'd be number 3.
Well, that'd be great. Before we lose Vic, our ship store commanding officer.
Well, we just lost Admiral Hall, and I had a story about him that I was trying to get into. And I feel badly he's gone because I wanted to say something directly to him. But I'll quickly tell the rest of you guys the story. We have been blessed with the captains that we have had on our ship, as we have 4 of them here. Marlon Townsend, Doc Townsend, was a mentor of us very early, and I could call him and he helped me so many different times. And then when we were trying to get people to come and talk to our reunion, I tried to make contacts with different captains because I felt that was important to have at our banquets. And I made a cold call to the Pentagon for Admiral Hall, and I got to him and he was on the telephone with me and I introduced myself. He didn't know me from anywhere. And I said that we had just started this reunion group and we were going to have a reunion in Norfolk, Virginia. And would he be available to come and be our speaker? Now, he didn't know what kind of an organization we had or anything. And he said, you know, I've got a daughter that lives down there. I'll just come down for the weekend and be happy to be your speaker. And that's what kind of guys that our captains have been. They have always stepped up there. And Craig Honor is certainly the one that's being our now and has been our help every time we turn around. He's there. And I just appreciate it. Dave Dykoff jumped right in and was glad to come to San Francisco, and now he's been here, and I hope we see him more. But you guys, because you are our backbone, and Jim, I hope to meet you someday and have you at one of our reunions as well. Thank you, guys.
Here, here. Thank you all for being there. Craig, you have brought in, you have carried the water for getting the commanding officers back to visit us. So thank you very much. Well, this is another successful evening with USS Seattle shipmates and commanding officers. I appreciate the stories. I will send a note off to make sure that the recording gets published on the USS Seattle Veterans Association page. And if you find yourself in Hanover, New Hampshire, visiting Dartmouth with somebody, give me a shout and we will visit and walk you around for the dime tour. So don't be a stranger. Actually, I see Phil's hand is up. I see a hand this time. Phil is trying to get my attention before we hang up.
No, I was just clapping. Thanking you for the meeting, Daniel. Very good. Very well
thanks,
conducted. I appreciate it very much.
With Dave's technology flaws, Dave is not great with the technology, so he's passed the ball to me for 3 calls now. I have to find the next junior officer to take this job.
Yeah, I wish I could have served with Dave. He seemed like a very jovial person, even though he had to take Al to mass, I guess, a time or two. Yeah, it would be nice meeting him someday.
Hey.
Cheers.
If they actually do manage to name the 3rd one of those frigates, the Seattle, I am sure that this group would be extremely involved in the launching ceremony and then also the initial boarding of the crew.
We'd love to do
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody have a good evening. I've carried everybody over beyond 9:30. So on the East Coast, it's getting late.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan.
A good job as
All
always.
right,
Dan.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Good night, Dan.